G'day. In this video I'm going to rate all of the 24 F1 races from a photographer's point of view. Starting off with my 24th place, China. Look, it's not that busy, which is great if you want to meet drivers. Certainly a great first turn, one of the best. It just keeps winding in on itself. Cheap tickets. There's a train station at the track which allows you to get from Shanghai in about 60 minutes, and the covered grandstands at the hairpin are impressive. It does lack a bit of atmosphere, and certainly come next year without Zhou Guanyu, assuming Zhou does not get a drive. I think you'll find that the crowds may even be smaller than past years. At number 23, I've gone with Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. Beautiful paddock at night. Nice lake, a shopping mall right across the road. A word of warning though, the traffic at midnight is absolutely crazy. And yes, it's hot. Not as hot as Qatar, but it is certainly warm. But if you get a hotel along the Corniche, it's quite a lovely scene at night. At number 22, I've gone with the Qatar Grand Prix. What do I like about this race? Well, the new paddock is stunning. Has digital signage across all of the first floor windows, which adds a different element. No other paddock has that. And certainly they've come a long way since that first race, going back to the year before the World Cup. Accommodation, though, is probably the cheapest that we find anywhere around the world for five-star hotels. But a word of warning, it is darn hot, so if you can get yourself some air conditioning wherever you're sitting, that will be a bonus. At number 21, Brazil. Small track, old school feel. Facilities are in need of some attention, but great overtaking at turn one. And if you're situated anywhere around that area, you'll love the action during the race at turn one. Tickets, good value, yes. Traffic's an issue. And of course, outside the track, safety is important. At number 20, I've got Montreal. What do I like about this race? Well, I have a new pit building, which is quite lovely. The Wall of Champions is exciting. That's the exit of the last turn coming onto the main straight where the cars get frighteningly close to that wall. In fact, I remember shooting there and a car bumping the wall, and it sent vibrations all the way down to us about 10 metres from where it hit. The leafy section around the back of the track is lovely, but for most of that area there are no stands, so it's only really marshals and photographers and cameramen that get to experience it. The organisers do have a bit to sort out though for 2025 after they disappointed a lot of fans, turning them away on the Friday despite the fact that the place wasn't closed, and they blocked a whole lot of people's view by putting up that mesh across the fence on the final day, the race day. Of course, it's pretty tricky rating these from 24 up to 1 because they're all quite magnificent circuits, although some are more magnificent than another. And at number 19, I've put Monza. It's a fast track situated in the middle of a park. The fans are incredible, but more so, it's the track invasion after the race that I think stands this race out from any other in that respect. And at this year's race, I did a panorama shot where I took 7 high-res images, painstakingly stitched them all together to form this magnificent monster print, which you can get onto kimellman.com right now and purchase. At number 18, Singapore. Beautifully lit at night. Right in the heart of the city. You don't need a rental car. Most people travel to the track on foot or by public transport, and that is exceptional. It's a pretty city. The shopping is fantastic. The food is amazing. Nightlife, yes, it goes on all night. Super safe, but if you don't like hot weather, the day sessions in the sun can be quite uncomfortable, and at night it drops just a few degrees, but you do have that humidity. At number 17, I've gone with Miami, the first of the 3 US races of 2025, and this race is different. For a start, it's set up in a car park of a major stadium. It has a fake marina. It has a beach club situated right next to the track with a couple of pools that are about 1 metre deep. We see lots of celebrities at this race. The paddock is quite amazing in so much that it's situated in the middle of a stadium on the AstroTurf, which can get very hot. But it does mean the drivers are out amongst the crowd a lot more because there's a greater distance from the hospitality suites to the garages. A lot of you complain that Miami's very plastic and very contrived. Well, it's just a different type of Formula One race. I've put it in at number 17, just behind Baku in Azerbaijan. This is a good value race. It's different. It's on the foreshore of the Caspian Sea. Great hotels are close by. Then you've got that walled city. And if you're there for the race weekend, you'll want to walk around there. It's quite nice. Some great local food to be had. The airport's beautiful. Just be careful of the taxi drivers. They do try it on. but they always got a smile on their face. Number 15, Barcelona. Not sure how much longer Barcelona will be on the calendar. Barcelona is a good value city, both for food, drink, accommodation. It's pretty, and the time of year that we go there, it's always warm. And if you like the beaches, fantastic. Get down there and explore them. The track's about a 25-minute drive from the city on a freeway, so it's worth staying in the city and making that trek out. Although beware, if you're catching public transport on the way back from the track, it can be a bit of a grind. Number 14, I'm going to go with Silverstone. It is the home of Formula One racing. It's a very big circuit, and as such, they get a lot of people in there. What do we have? Was it 480,000 this year? And that brings with it some traffic issues. There's a Ferris wheel, and if it's wet, you'll want to bring your galoshes. Drivers stay at the track. It's one of the few places where the drivers actually have their motorhomes inside the track. Accommodation-wise, though, you probably need to travel a little bit for quality accommodation. Milton Keynes is not bad. I don't think too many people would stay in London because it's probably an hour to the track and much longer on the way back. But the crowd, yeah, they're excitable and passionate. Not to the level of the Italian tifosi, but still there's a great buzz, particularly on race day. Number 13, I've gone with Bahrain. I tell you why I like this race and why I think you will like it, because it has the smallest crowds. Now, if you happen to be in the paddock, you'll notice that it's a lot easier to see drivers. There are far fewer people in there. And for my liking, the paddock is the number one of all paddocks. At night, it's just beautiful with the fairy lights. Spacious. They also have that beautiful tower with some lovely signage on it. It's an easy drive from the city. Number 12, I've gone with Austin, Texas. It's a big track, great general admission area at the first turn. And if you're staying in the city of Austin, if you can get accommodation, because that is sometimes a real challenge, especially at a reasonable price, you'll find the atmosphere is a real buzz, particularly down on 6th Street. Although beware, there are two parts of 6th Street. One's a bit grottier than the other. Oh, and of course they've got the big tower there, which is great photographically, and you can even go up the top and view the action. Not for the whole race, but for a predetermined time. And number 11, Abu Dhabi. It's the last race of the year. The paddock is gorgeous at night, and typically because it's the last race of the year, everybody's there. The facilities are gorgeous at the track, and there are a number of hotels within walking distance. Very much a family venue on the island because there's theme parks, there's beautiful shopping, and the airport just minutes away. Speaking of hotels, if you happen to get a booking at the W Hotel, which is right on the track, in fact, it goes over the track, it is a wild scene, and I've never seen more beautiful women and stunningly dressed men than I do see at that particular hotel. But if you're looking for a quiet hotel to get plenty of sleep, this is not the hotel for you. It is a wild party scene. Number 10, an even bigger party place, Las Vegas. Now, a few of you don't like the race. You think it's all too glitzy and glamoury and full of bullshit, dare I say it. But, I like the place. I think it's a different feel altogether. It's easy to get around. People stay out until 6 and 7 a.m. and then they sleep till the early afternoon before they head to the track. You don't need a car. That's a plus. And the prices for accommodation this year have come down. But I'm afraid this is very much a rich person's race. And that's because I think they price this along the same lines as they price a Super Bowl or a major sporting event in the US, where people are just used to paying a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, I'm talking up to, say, $39,000 US just for one person to attend something like Gordon Ramsay's or Pappy Steak's corporate facility. I think you've got to be a special person to be paying that money, but there are obviously enough of them around to make it viable. At number 9, Mexico City. I love the people in Mexico. They're just such warm, except the ones that stole my bloody phone going back a couple of years ago. The stadium section is totally unique. It's a real buzz, especially when Checo Perez comes roaring through there in qualifying. Although beware, the seating is not that comfortable in that stadium. But the paddock, I think, is one of the best. But a word of warning, if you need to get back from the track to the city on the Friday night, it's going to take you a heck of a long time. I think that's probably the worst traffic I've ever seen heading back to a city after a race. Number 8, I'm going to go with the Netherlands. We have the Orange Army out in full force. The track is nice and compact. It's on the beach, and that's a completely different feel for us. But I think we're not going to have this race for too much longer. Number 7, the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. If you want to see probably the world's greatest racetrack and the world's greatest corner, this is the place to go to. It's a long track. You get the fewest number of laps, but if you have a ticket anywhere around Eau Rouge that allows you to see the cars go up that hill at an incredible speed, you will not regret it. And even if you're not a racing fan, I think you'll love it. The atmosphere and the sights. Oh, you'll need a raincoat, and accommodation-wise, nothing of any great note around the area. And number 6, I've picked Imola. Very much an old school track, but the town itself is beautiful. If you're lucky enough to get accommodation anywhere in the centre of the town, you'll love the atmosphere on the Friday and the Saturday, and even the Sunday nights in the centre of the town. The track's surrounded by greenery, there's a rich heritage, and the people are passionate about their motorsport. If you're looking for top-end accommodation, you're going to have to travel perhaps from Bologna. Next up at number 5, I've picked Austria. It's a small track, it's compact, it's in beautiful surrounds, the scenery, the people, the schnitzels, oh my gosh. Getting in and out is great traffic-wise because there's a freeway that runs right alongside the track. There's camping right next to the track, and the crowd in general are a fun bunch. Oh, and you can get quite close to the drivers on the green carpet. Remember, I'm talking as much about photographically for me, my favourites, as for you, the spectator. Number 4, I've gone with my home race, Melbourne. This is a favourite of all of the F1 drivers. Safe city, the track's just a short tram ride from the centre of the city. It's in a big park, leafy, big crowd obviously because it's over such a wide area, and pretty good value because with this race you get 4 days of on-track action. Almost everywhere else, it's 3 days. Downside, for you Europeans and Brits, it's a heck of a long trip. But it's my shortest trip of the year. Now, to my top 3, and they are distinctly different races. Do you know which ones I've got left? Well, at number 3, I've got Hungary. The city itself is a real buzz. I love the atmosphere at night if you're staying in the centre of the city. It's a very good value race. 5-star accommodation is probably some of the best value you'll find throughout the whole year. The track's about 25 minutes out of town, and coming for 2025 is a brand new pit building, and that has been horribly overdue. 2 to go, Japan and Monaco. I've put Japan second. Suzuka. It is a remarkable track. It's right up there with Spa. Super fans, just the loveliest people, the greatest food. It's culturally different. That's what I love about Japan. Supremely safe, and you're at one of the greatest racetracks in the world. The only one with a flyover. People who come to Japan for the F1 race typically stay on a bit longer and see a bit more of the country, and it is a fascinating place. Although if you're looking for 5- and 4-star accommodation, you'll have to travel from the nearest city, which is Nagoya, and that's about an hour trip. But my favourite is Monaco. Now, it's not for the racing. None of this is for the racing. It's for the experience. And I can't think of a more picturesque venue that we go to than Monaco. Photographically, it's rich for me. The vistas are glorious. As a photographer, we get up close, and even as a spectator, you can be a lot closer than you can, say, at a track like Silverstone, where you're often a long way away from the action. If you're looking for cheap, yes, there are a couple of options here. The hill is great value, although it's not the most comfortable. You bring your own chairs, and you are sitting on a very steep gradient. The downside is the cost of hotels in Monaco is crazy, and very few people actually stay in Monaco because it is so small. Most travel from nearby towns, but the public transport is exceptional. And if you're staying there on the Friday or Saturday night, go for a wander along the Monaco boat harbour and just soak up the atmosphere of all of these boats worth millions hosting parties with excited people on board. So here you have it, my favourites from 1 through to 24. None of them are bad, it's just that some are better than others, and that's how I've ranked them. Of course, not one of you will have these races in the exact same order. That's almost impossible. But hopefully, if you're considering going to a race, something you've heard here may assist you in your decision. Now, before you head off to kimellman.com to the shop and perhaps pick up one of my panorama prints, a print signed by an F1 driver, or one of my many photo books, could you please hit the like button and subscribe? And the final thing I'll do now is say thanks for watching and stay passionate. And you can even camp. Oh!